Texas welcome for Piper Laurie, who played Carrie's mom, Margaret White, Nancy Allen, who played the cold-hearted schemer, Chris Hardinson, and PJ Souls, who played Carrie's classmate, the girl in the red cap, Norma Watson.
Some of you may think that I'm a new vet, but that's what I needed. It was really from skydiving.
So, let's start. How long has it been since you've seen each other? Has it been since the film shot?
Well, I would say that I haven't seen Piper. Well, we saw each other a few months ago in Burbank, but that was actually the first time that we all met her because none of us worked with Piper. We were doing a movie.
True.
So we were all excited to meet her, and
We said hi, and Piper looked at us like, "Who are you?" And we said, "We were in your movie."
but PJ and I have seen each other for so many years.
Well, we didn't have scenes together, but I saw you on set. Watching from the phone.
We weren't allowed to go to the set when it was a closed set when Piper and Sissy were shooting. I don't know what was going on in there, but we weren't allowed.
And Sissy didn't want to be friends with us, remember, even though she was so dark.
Yes.
She was the best, but she said, I have to apologize, I'm not going to be friendly because I don't, it's going to ruin my character.
So, was the atmosphere on set like sort of cliquey, like high school?
Oh, no. Clicky. The week before we started shooting, all the kids from high school stuff got together with Brian, and he had us play all these different theater games, and we had to elect a high school president, and everybody did it in their character. So we really were a very close ensemble, very, very close.
Now, Piper, you had actually retired from acting for quite a long stretch. It was almost 15 years, I think, after you did that.
Exactly 15 years, yeah.
Now, why did you retire from acting?
Well, I just really didn't have a desire to be an actress for a long time. And so many things going on in the world. The civil rights movement had begun, and the Vietnam War had started. And it just seemed like the silly thing to do to be an actress. So I lived upstate New York, and I was a mother and a housewife and a sculptor, and just about the time when I began to feel that it might be fun to be an actress again, to go to work in the theater and everything, I was sent a script by an agent I hadn't spoken to for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like the script.
Right.
And my husband said, well, Brian, has a comedic approach to what he does. And she said, oh, well, I misread the whole thing. And so I read it again as a kind of satire. And then I was flown out to California. No, first I met him in, I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I was invited to come meet him in New York. And I took the train in, and he didn't ask anything about me, and I didn't think he'd know who I was, because I hadn't done anything for so many years. He was a young man. He kind of talked mostly about himself, as if he were trying to get a job from me. And I realized later that he was just trying to make me feel comfortable. And so I took the train home. By the time I got there, I got word that he wanted me to be in the movie.
And so, what didn't you like about the script, and what changed, or how did you?
Well, I was flown out to California for rehearsals, and I had worked out some funny bits, physical bits, that I thought would be great. And So I was rehearsing the scene with Sisney, and I was doing this thing of pulling myself by my hair around the room. And I twice, and then Ryan stopped me and he said, Piper, you can't do that. You're going to get a laugh. And he's serious. And I realized that this was not supposed to be funny. And so I didn't really, I did all the things I had to work out, but on the other side of the line, somehow, my intention was more intense. Right now, and I never really talked about that. I just did it.
Well, there is a particularly sort of poignant theme again with the recently released film Bully. And there's a lot of cruelty in the script of Carrie, actually, the pig slaughtering and your emotional abuse of Carrie, your character's emotional abuse of Carrie, the elaborate and sort of premeditated nature of the pomegranate itself. Nancy, what was your first reaction to reading the script?
My first reaction to reading the script was, oh, I really want this part. And that's pretty much what I thought about it. And then I thought, it's pretty thin on who this character is. So I read the book, and then that gave me a little bit more. Then I decided I had to write a biography of this character so I could grasp something about her and find something to like about her. And I just wanted to make a movie.
Yeah, it came at a pivotal point for you, right? You were almost doing give up on acting.
Yes, I spent 2 months in California, and I decided this business is not for me, which of course is silly. And I was going to go back to New York, and we were talking about this yesterday in the car, and I literally was planning to go back, and I ran into a casting director who had cast me in television commercials in New York. And she said, come on in, you can read, you won't get the part, but at least you'll meet a director who's up and coming. And I was the last person on the last day to read, and it worked out.
Did you end up reading for any parts in Star Wars?
I was not part of that. PJ, that was
The initial casting session between Brian and George, they were looking at everybody in Hollywood. We all lined up the hallways, there were about 300 of us. And you would just walk into a room, and I remember they were behind a big desk, and Brian looked at George and said, I'll put her on my list. And George went, and as I turned to go, Brian said, next audition, bring your hat. And I went, my hat? I have the red hat on, that's what I wore. Coming from New York, I was afraid of the sun in LA. And I said, the hat? And he goes, yes. And every time after that, including on the set, where's your hat?
There were several nods to Hitchcock in the film, obviously, including the fact that it's probably the only movie you can refer to as the shower scene, other than Psycho. But there's also the school being called Bates High School, and then several very involved camera sequences. What was the most challenging sequence for you to shoot? Was it your death scene, perhaps?
This sounds terrible to say, but I just had such a good time. It's like going on vacation and being paid. I mean, it's really hard work to be a mother and a housewife. And this was just joyful fun. And sometimes there were more challenging days, but Ryan was so helpful in that he just let me try anything I wanted to try, and would do everything he could to. There was one scene that I didn't want to rehearse. I wanted it to be as fresh and raw as possible, and it was the last scene with Sissy, just before I killed her, and I talk about my real truth of my sexuality, and I thought it would be better if I could just do it raw, and so I said I just not reverse this and just get into the position, and he said fine, and the cinematographer literally, and when they were all ready, I just did it. And Brian came up and said, "Oh, Piper, I'm so sorry." He had tears in his eyes. He said, "Could you do it one more time?" and I did, and it amazingly it was as fresh as the other one. I don't know which of the two takes were used, but it was. Also, just before we did that day, I was on my way to the ladies' room, and he was on his way to the men's room. And I stopped and said, "Hi, you know, I know how it's written, the death scene, but I don't think this should be tragic or painful for her. I think it should be ecstatic to the extreme."
Yeah.
And he said, "Great." That's what I did.
That for me, just looking at an acting performance, to me it's one of the great scenes, and the interpretation is just, I mean, you heard Glenn, totally channeled. It's amazing, really amazing.
How about for you, Nancy?
Well, there's no question, the hardest scene, the car scene was easy because it was fun and funny and silly and all of that.
I saw you in the car with John.
You did?
I came to the set that day.
And I didn't even meet you, I didn't even know you were there. You must have been later.
Yes,
Yes, we were very much. Well, you know, the funny thing about that is we thought we were a comedy act because everybody was laughing at us all the time. Come to find out everybody hated me, I had no idea. But the hard thing was not so much the scene itself, but I think getting ready for the shower scene, sitting in our robes, sitting out there for 6 hours waiting while they were shooting for Sissy. And believe it or not, I think that the frenzy of the tampon scene really was upsetting for everybody. I mean, just you think, oh, this is a big deal, and then you get caught in you just get caught in it, and you're out of your mind. So I think all of that was really disturbing for me.
How do you, PJ? I understand that you actually suffered a pretty serious injury when Carrie unleashes her wrath.
Yeah, I would say that probably my death scene was hard only because they didn't use a real fire hose. The fire marshal did not want to do it, but Dick Zeiger, our stunt guy, said, "I'll do it, I'll be careful." And Brian really just wanted the fire hose to bat my head around, but when I turned my head, the full force of the fire hose went in my ear, and I broke my eardrum instantly. And when that happens, you lose your equilibrium, and I just slid down the stairway. But the good thing is that was a good shot. It was the last shot. Song. That's actually me getting my eardrum broken. And the grips came running because they were so protective of us. And they lifted me up to my dressing room. I do remember Brian did not come to my room. I don't know why. He didn't say he was sorry or anything. No flowers. But we go to the hospital, and yes, I broke my eardrum. And for 6 weeks I had to go to the doctor and get shots and whatever. Now, as my kids will say, you hear too well, so you try that again.
And that's a well-kept secret in the movie business. They wait till it's your last day and they do something really difficult in case something happens to you. When they're doing it at the beginning, you gotta worry because they even think you're replacing you.
And also, if you have a very intimate scene with your leading man and you've never met him before, that's on day one.
Yes, absolutely. That's true. I met the Ramones on day one. Joey Ramone sang to me. That was when I first met them, and that was day one of Rock and Roll High School.
Well, speaking of intimate scenes with the leading man, I mean, Nancy, you ended up marrying Brian QnA. Did you fall in love on the set of Carrie?
Yes, she did.
She's a big fat liar. That is so not true. I think that actually it was John that said to me one day at lunch, and he said, "Brian has a crush on you." I said, "Oh no, he's so snotty all the time. He's so sarcastic." And I thought, this guy's really sarcastic. He's a jerk. And it was really a couple of months later when I was in New York, and he told the cast, "Oh, if you're ever in New York, come over. Paul Hirsch and I are editing. We'll show you a scene." And So I went over and I watched the scene. They showed me 2 scenes that they cut together, and then we had dinner, and the rest is my story, privately.
So how do you think the movie affected the horror genre? I mean, it was not exactly a taboo subject, but it was certainly not one that had been explored a lot in the genre. And amazingly so, I mean, the fact that Sissy and Piper also got nominated for Academy Award nominations, which was very unusual and still is actually for genre films.
It had never been. No one had been nominated for her.
So, I mean, how do you think the film affected the genre, or people's perception of the genre?
Led the charge. I mean, it was unbelievable. For the first time, it was taken seriously because it was a really brilliant movie. And if you look back on it now, people will go, oh, well, maybe it was because it was a Stephen King book, but I don't think so. I really think it was Brian's vision, number one. I remember going to the audition at his house with all the other cast members, and he had storyboards covering his entire dining room. Every wall was just with the movie, drawn out in pencil. I was amazed. So his vision, the actors and actresses, the characters, and then the beautiful story. And I think, you know, it led the way for other movies that then kind of took it down a hill a bit. But in terms of beginning a genre, I think it was Stern.
I think, too, you have to start with a good script, and then there has to be a vision. Someone has to have a point of view. And I think the fact that he took 3 months, 4 months, whatever it was, to cast this film, and very carefully assembled the right person, I think, for each role, and the chemistry, too. I think the chemistry with everybody was just right. It was the first time that